this 2004 Mustang Stage 1 Rouge is 16 years old. He wrestles in high school, and something really cool about that is that took place in the winter, and he had just got the car in the winter, and so he was so devoted to wrestling that he didn't have time to learn to drive this car yet because this car is a stick shift. Now something really cool about that is he went ahead and bought the car even though he didn't know how to drive stick. His dad actually drove it home from the dealership for him, and he was able to later learn the car in the springtime when he had more time and it was better weather and everything. And I really like that part of the story because I learned to drive stick shift in my Mustang as well, and I was a little scared of it, to be honest. I wanted an automatic. I was hoping that the Bullitt Mustangs came in automatic back in 2001 when I was looking at Mustangs, and my mom told me that it would be better if I had a stick shift and I knew how to drive stick, and I'm really glad that she was very adamant about that because it's done so much for me later. I can jump in any Mustang I want and drive it now, and I've done a ton of racing and I've done a whole lot of things with the stick shift now, and I wouldn't have it any other way, so I'm very excited about that. So hearing that part of the story is really fun because this car will always be special to him because this is the car that he learned to drive stick in. Something else that's really cool about this car being a 2004 is that's the same year that the owner was born, and so he's really excited that it's the same year as he is. The first time he saw this car for sale was on a highway about 10 miles from his house. He thought it would be a really awesome car to have. He liked the way it looked. He actually turned 15 years old right before he saw the car, and it was time for him to get a learner's permit, so he was looking at cars and getting excited about a car that he would like to have. And the car was actually still for sale in November when he was looking for the car, and so it was actually on consignment. So what that means is the owner of the car takes it to a dealership and says, I want you to help me sell this car. And the dealership says, okay, we will put it on our car lot, and when it sells, you give us a cut of the money, a percentage usually. So something else that was interesting about this car, being that it was on consignment and that we're talking about the previous owner, he said this car had 10 owners before. And at this time the car had about 76,000 miles on it. And so he was excited to buy the car and he named it Lucy. Now buying the car was also a little bit of an issue because the book value on a Rouge car comes back as a GT Premium. So getting a bank to loan you money for a Rouge car can be difficult because they look at it as a Mustang GT and they don't value anything else about the Rouge package. So he had to come up with the extra money on top of what the bank would loan on it and try to get the car before somebody else bought it. And so on November 25th, he was able to go get the car that he had been looking at for so long. Thinking about this, I would just be so extremely crazy happy to have a car like this when I was his age. I can't believe how nice of a car this is. And when I look back at a car that was made when I was born in 1985, there were no cars that seemed this nice or this cool that I would have had that would have been made when I was born. And you know, when I was 16 looking at cars like that, they were all pretty beat up. So this is a really nice car, and he was able to get something really awesome considering it's as old as he is. To me, these cars don't really age. It still looks brand new to me. A car from the 80s, to me, even back when I was 16, looked like an old car. So this is just such an awesome car. He's so lucky to have something like this at his age. And you know, you can get in trouble with a car like this. You can get hurt, you can crash it really easy. It's a lot of power for someone who's that age. So it's cool to see him learning to drive the car. He's having fun with it, and he's being careful with it. So here's some more pictures of the car when it was at the dealership. You can see that Rouge rear spoiler. It has the Jack Rouge Edition sticker in the back window. It has the Rouge on the windshield on front. It has the aftermarket head unit and the beautiful shift ball. We'll see a better picture of that, but you can see the gas pedal, those Rouge pedals that come in the car. And down in the right corner you can see this glimpse of the Rouge floor mats. So there's the Rouge shift knob, pretty cool. And here are the aftermarket window and lock buttons. And to the right of the steering column is this really cool plaque that says Jack Rouge Performance Products Stage 1, letting you know this is a Stage 1 Rouge. And here you get a better view of the beautiful GT seats, and you can tell that the steering wheel has some billet pieces on the cruise control buttons. And there's the white face Rouge gauges and the chrome trim bezels around the gauges. And again, you can get a glimpse of the floor mats that say Rouge on them. And here's an even better look at those Rouge pedals. The parking brake handle has a little chrome thing on it, and there's that shift knob again. On the outside of the car you can see the Roush spoiler and those ground effects, which are those overlay pieces that go on the bumper there that cover up the exhaust cutout on the back bumper and add a little bit of side skirt look to it so that it can have the side exit exhaust. And here you can see the side exit exhaust and these bullet wheels that came with the car when the previous owner had put them on. And on the back of the car you can see the Roush logo. And here's a look at the front of the car with the front Roush bumper and cowl hood that was already on the car when he bought it. And if you look closely you'll see that it actually has a cobra snake in the grille, which is really tacky for a Roush, and you'll see what he did to this. Roush did add their package to a couple of cobras, but this is not one of them, so I like what he did. You'll see this in a minute. Going into the engine bay you'll see the factory Jack Roush sticker and also an area where Jack Roush signed the car himself. There is also a dress-up radiator cap and a nice bright red Optima battery. There is a fender well cold air intake, so that part goes down into the fender where the filter is to get colder air. There's the rest of the intake tube. It says Roush on it, and it has a plenum on top by TrickFlow. And the car also has a stage 3 clutch, and he said that was real difficult to learn to drive with, and he stalled the car a bunch of times, but that's just fine. A clutch can be replaced if you damage it too much, and a clutch like that can take a lot of abuse. He said he actually resented the car for a while because he couldn't drive it and it was hard to drive with the stick shift, especially because he was paying for the car and he couldn't even use it. But once he got used to it, he loved it, and the sound of the car when he was cruising made him love it even more. And with that side exit exhaust, you can really hear the good sound that 2-valve makes, especially with the windows down. Also, the car was actually built in 2003 in December, according to the Carfax that showed all the owners and everything. Something really cool about this car for him is that he said he always liked the New Edge Mustangs growing up, that he saw them all the time and he liked them. And I remember when I was young, I saw the very first 94 Mustang when the SN95 came out, and that's when I started to like the SN95 and later the New Edge Mustangs even more. I totally fell in love with the New Edge Mustangs when they came out and upgraded from the SN95 look even more. And so it's cool that he liked them so much and he was able to get one. So here's a look at the amplifiers in the trunk for the sound system. It has a 12-inch subwoofer, and here's some more pictures of that Pioneer head unit that it has. Looks real fun because you can have a cord that goes into it for your phone, maybe even Bluetooth, and be able to just enjoy music and driving. Those things always go together. Also in this picture, I think it's really cool to see that air freshener thing. He added the Roush logo to it. Looks cool.
Hey guys, it's me.
I like this little video he took where he says, here I am just cleaning out my car because he's kind of bored, just whatever. And at that age, I think you have a lot more time to spend with your car. You do have school and a lot of responsibilities, but this is just him doing a little walk around with the car, showing the floor mats and stuff, and showing there's the 12-inch sub in the back and things. But I really can relate to this age when I had my first Mustang, when I had a lot of time to spend with it and wash it and clean it and stuff like that. And if you caught that glimpse of the booster seat in there so he can take his siblings around it, that's like how it was for me. You know, when you turn 16, a lot of times you become the designated driver for the siblings. So here he is cleaning up the car and washing it and taking care of it. So I think that's really good for him to be taking care of such a nice car. A lot of people trash cars, especially at that age, and they don't really care about them, but he's out there taking really good care of it. So I think that's really fun to see, and I'm happy to see someone taking care of a nice car. So an upgrade that he did to the car that was really cool was he bought a Roush logo for the front to replace the snake. You can see the snake on the left there. That was on the car when he bought it, and the car is not a Cobra. And so he replaced it with the Roush logo, and I think that looks really good. It looks good on the front of the car like that. So there's that picture, and here's another one of the front end of the car, how much better it looks now. And so he did have a check engine light come on, and he replaced all the spark plugs, and it went off for a little bit but came back, and so they went back and replaced the coil on plugs, the ignition coils, and that will fix the problem. That's usually what it is in these cars. The spark plugs don't seem to wear out as bad, but the coil packs, those will go out and those will cause misfires and check engine lights. And when that happened, he said that it looked like it was cylinders 4 and 7 that were causing the misfires. And so when he changed the plugs, they were all mismatched, and the coil on plugs 2 were also all mismatched. And so he got matching sets of both of those, and now the car runs better. And he just replaced the fuel filter, said that it was really gross and came out like chocolate milk. He got a Bassani X-Pipe for the car, and I love when you install exhaust on a car like this. It is always something exciting because it's a difference you will hear and notice, and it's always fun to hear it for the first time after that. And of course something you're going to use every single time you drive the car. I really find it interesting to see all that condensation, all that water get blown out the exhaust from the side exit. It must be able to pool up in there pretty easy. Something cool about cars is messing around with your friends.
Ralph cold air intake with the I can't remember it is. It got some kind of damn throttle body on it. I think the damn manifold's a little bit upgraded.
And of course driving around with your friends. So here are a couple more pictures of him just taking care of the car and washing it, and I just think it's really cool that he was able to get a car at this age. I remember total excitement at that age and being able to have something that you can take care of. You know, he did mention how this takes a lot of his time and his money, but it's a hobby that he really likes, and he has some friends that have some cool cars too. So I just think it's really cool to have a car at that age and have something that you can start to love and take care of. And starting out with a cool car like this, he'll be able to upgrade this car, and it's a good car to start with. You know, it's something that he can have forever if he wants to, and it's a special edition car. It's a low production car. It has a lot of really neat things about it. You know, the Roush cars have a lot of really cool little upgrades that they come with so that you don't have to modify it or change it a whole lot. And he says that he would like to do stage 2 cams in the car and springs. And so I think that's cool. It'll sound really good with that side exit exhaust. It'll chop really hard, especially, like I said, with the windows down. You'll hear that right outside your window. You'll hear it when you rev it up at people. It'll be even louder because it'll be pointed at their cars and everything. So anyway, just a really cool Roush car. Really excited for him to have this at such a young age. And I think that this car will bring him a lot of happiness, and I hope he continues to take good care of it, make sure that he doesn't crash it or drift it into a curb or something, because that kind of stuff happens. And it's just something that shows responsibility as well. To have a car like this at that age is a lot of responsibility. In the car, it is getting old for its age, but to me they seem like they're timeless. They still seem new to me, probably because they were new when I was 16, and I've always been so in love with these cars. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you really enjoyed this one. This is really cool to see a Roush car. I do really like the Roush front bumper and other things about the Roush cars, and I think they're high quality. And recently I had learned how much that Jack Roush had to do with Ford. They helped develop the Bullitt Mustang. They helped Ford a lot with things. They're really close to Ford in proximity as well, so Ford sends them stuff to work on and evaluate. So it's really cool that Roush is such a good company like that. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like the videos, and stay tuned for more of these stories.